This one's for you, Doug Glatt. Episode 69 of the Last Man In podcast. Welcome back. Cam and myself here, as Dan's off gallivanting at the Jets game tonight.
He's doing another scouting report.
He's
a busy guy. He's got lots of scouting reports coming up.
Oh, for sure.
Can't wait to read those.
And let's just jump right into Jets Leafs right now, Wednesday night, and they're playing. So my favorite team and the team this podcast is centered around, the Jets, are playing tonight. And I don't know if this is the first time ever, but it's first time that I can think of in a very long time where two goalies that it's their second career starts are playing against each other. Garrett Sparks, which we're going to talk about. I promise that we're actually going to talk about it.
We will. We're doing it.
Got a shutout in his first ever NHL game, so he got the start tonight against Winnipeg. Winnipeg started Connor Hellebuyck 2 games ago, so they played. Who did they play on Saturday?
The Colorado Avalanche.
Colorado Avalanche. Hutchinson played that game, didn't play that well, so they decided it was time to put Hellebuyck.
Hellebuyck played against a Wild. Hutch played.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
My bad.
So Hellebuyck played against the Wild and did quite well. Only one goal on, 30 or so shots. So they decided to put him in as Hutchinson's struggling at the moment, which it comes to a surprise to most people because he had such a good season last year. Which begs the question, who do you go with forward now? You see we've seen what we're seeing from Connor Hellebuyck. Right now, as we're recording this podcast, it's 9 p.m. There's 8 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third period. And Winnipeg is up 5-1 over Toronto. Yeah, I'm hurt right now.
Michael Grabner got his first goal as a Leaf.
I know. I'm pretty pumped about that. Connor Hellebuyck, 26 shots against 25 saves. So 962 save percentage. So Connor Hellebuyck is showing that he can play in the NHL, even though his numbers in the AHL this year aren't anything to write home about.
I think these are, this game stands for both goalies. For them, this is their handing of the ball and being like, let's see what you can do with this. If they do well, run with it. Just go on. Just fun fact about this game. Two goalies, obviously, their second starts ever. Both American, starting for Canadian teams.
Oh, interesting.
On Wednesday night, rivalry night.
Yep.
Brought to you by Sportsnet and totally not ripped off from NBC, who's been doing it for years.
Or TSN, who was doing it before that.
Exactly.
The other thing to know with both these goalies is they've both been drafted by these teams. Garrett Sparks, 7th round. Connor Hellebuyck was drafted, I believe, 3rd or 4th round. Both...
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Obviously, we listen to Steve Dangle podcast. On that podcast, they had mentioned that Garrett Sparks is the last goalie to start since Manny Legacy being drafted by Brian Burke.
Wow.
That is a long ass time in between goalies.
Did not know that.
Me neither. I was listening to
He didn't draft James Reimer.
I don't believe he did, no. That would have been... Who was before? Oh, wait, maybe. I could be wrong. But it was on their podcast. Damn it, I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nonetheless, you have a goalie in Garrett Sparks who... And this is the same situation with Connor Hellebuyck, where they're both kind of playing in the AHL, and it's a whatever, we'll wait till maybe you turn into something. No one really knows. And for Hellebuyck, he played in college a couple years ago. For Sparks, he was in the ECHL for part of his career before he got the chance to move up to the AHL. So both these goalies have paid their dues, and they're working through the system to work up to the NHL. So for both these goalies, they're coming in as goalies are injured. So Sparks came up for the injured Reimer. Now, Bernier was sent down because Reimer's now off the injured reserve, so they had to relieve a spot, so they put Bernier back down. And Hellebuyck's up because Pavlik's hurt. So really, for both franchises, both Winnipeg and Toronto, having goalies in this situation is a win-win. You're getting to see what your goalies are doing at the NHL level, and you also don't really care because if they do poorly, well, you have your other goalie there. For right now, for Winnipeg, it's a nice bonus that Hellebuyck's playing well because of the fact that Hutchinson's having his issues this season so far, as I'm sure you've noticed, I've noticed.
Yeah, what's going on with that? How he just what is it with first year players in Winnipeg where they do we don't have many expectations because you don't know what to expect. And I'm referencing Hutch and specifically Jacob Trouba, where first year, last year for Hutch, they come in, they go on an excellent run, and they just play great. And then the second year slump. Or that third year slump.
I think part of it with Hutchinson for sure is pressure on himself to do better. I think last season he came in with... I don't think anyone was expecting him to steal the spotlight from Pavlik, and then what happened at the end of the year with Pavlik just essentially stealing the spot back. You know, that St. Louis Blues game last year where Hutchinson was pulled, I think, after 3 goals on 7 shots or something like that, and Pavlik was put in. That was kind of the passing of the torch. And since then, Hutchinson has never returned to form or to that really good play because it seems that he's put too much pressure on himself now to succeed.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know how else to phrase it.
Yeah. Or, you know, it's one of those things where it's growing pains with the new goalie. Like, as I think the popular thing in the blogosphere is goalies are voodoo. We don't know what they're going to do. You know Lundqvist and Price are going to be strong, but other than that...
And it's like, and even look at Lundqvist and Price. Where was Lundqvist drafted? We know Price was drafted in first because we've all heard that Pierre Maguire, like, oh my God, dude, that is a terrible mistake that made the Yaroslav Halak where Pierre Maguire is just losing it.
Yeah.
He's losing his mind.
Where a lot of people with that trade, with the Carey Price trade, with the Yaroslav Halak trade, everyone was like, are you really prepared to give away the goalie that took you to the conference finals?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
I remember that outrage.
Like, people were pissed, and they're like, for this guy? Yeah, no, he just won the MVP. He's really, really good.
Was that Carey Price?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like, Montreal fans have nothing to complain about, and the fact that I did not realize that they have 4 really strong goalies in their system. Condon, Tokarski, and Zach Fucale.
And I like how the Zach Fucale is and Zach Fucale. Like in pretty much any other system who doesn't have like Lundqvist, it'd be like, oh yeah, they have this crazy good guy in Zach Fucale. He's pretty good. Didn't Halifax go back-to-back to the Memorial Cup?
I think so.
A goalie who goes back-to-back to the Memorial... Oh, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't, because remember, he got traded to Quebec last year.
Yeah, well, he got to go to the Memorial Cup twice then.
Yeah.
Didn't do the greatest, but he had a way different team in front of him. However, it's still like, and Zach Fucale. Zach Fucale backstopped Canada to a gold medal, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
Yeah.
And he did it the year
and
before.
And a lot of people talk about how Winnipeg's got really deep goaltenders. And we've got Pavlik, we got Hutchinson, we got Comrie, and we have Hellebuck. But none of them are Carey Price.
None of them are, I don't want to be mean, but none of them are either Fucale as well. And then, even imagine think back, Tokarski starred for our country as well in World Juniors, like in younger years.
One of the best clips ever when Dustin Tokarski makes that save.
Tokarski!
Pretty sure he orgasmed on national television.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah.
That was on Colin Wilson.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that ever.
Jeez. It's so funny, like, the World Juniors is such a great tournament because you see these players that you've never heard of before, and then you look back 5 years later, and you're like, holy shit, that's this player. And that's this player, right?
2006, I believe,
Yeah.
when they won in Finland in overtime. Who got that overtime winner? Number
Brad
2?
Marchand?
Oh,
No?
the year before that, I believe.
Oh, okay.
None other than number 22 that year. Matt Halischuk. Now strong for about Manitoba Moose.
Exactly.
What? Like...
Or how about the fact that I think I was pretty sure it was Jack Johnson that elbowed what's his face?
Jack Johnson elbowed.
You don't remember that? USA. I think it was.
Well, obviously it was USA, but who did he hit?
I can't remember who he elbowed, but right at the end of the game, I'm pretty sure it was either Jack or Eric. One of the two of them just elbowed one of the Canada players right at the end of the game.
I don't remember that. I remember the double D on Ovi and some other Russian, and I like how that guy is now that some other Russian. Or I remember that one distinct goal where Giroux and Marchand were playing on the same line. Giroux fed Marchand. Marchand went in, drove to the net, went like shelf, scored. And he turned around and jumped on the boards because he didn't have like the cage meshing. And he's just like, oh yeah. And he dropped his stick and some fans trying to like steal his stick from him. Oh, as you can tell, we're getting a little excited for the World Juniors. Because here in Canada, Brett emailed us last year and we asked like, is there anything comparable? And he said, I guess it'd be the Final Four for basketball or even Frozen Four, which is funny because you know who was pretty prominent in the Frozen Four when his team won, Providence? Shane Gostisbehere, and now he's in the NHL. I told you guys he'd be amazing. I told you guys he'd be amazing, and he is. I can't wait. Go ahead, Greg.
So, found the clip from 2006, so it would have been the 2005 World Juniors.
Okay.
Or it would have been 2006 World Juniors, sorry.
Okay.
Jack Johnson, cheap shot at Steve Downing.
I do not remember this.
Yeah, in the gold medal game. Just.
I remember Zach Cassian getting suspended.
Ooh.
Remember when he, like, who did he hit? Some Czech Republican, because I remember Andre Palat was on the ice, but he didn't hit Palat. He just wrecked some Czech Republican kid. Yeah. And like all the Canadians are like, clean hit, and everyone else in the world was like, he tried to take his head off. And we're like, come on, don't be a bitch. Like,
Don Cherry would have been like, hey.
Anytime Buff does something wrong, in everyone else's eyes, but Dan, come on, don't be a bitch. I'm not trying to make fun of Dan. I'm just saying that's Dan's reaction every time Buff hits someone. Don't be a bitch.
Yeah. It's very interesting, that whole Buff situation. We've talked about it at length.
He did it again today. He's been flying for knees. Were you watching the game?
No, I haven't.
Man, he was cutting for those Leaf knees today. He was just going hunting. Like Kadri, he tried to get Kylie Bozeman a few times.
We
talked about it at length. We don't need to.
It's just...
We don't need to talk about it
He
anymore.
brings a lot, but the biggest thing for the Jets is they got to weigh the pros and cons with Dustin Buff. But nonetheless, we do have to talk about the Jets, and you want to mention something.
Oh, yeah, I know. Just so if we're wrapping up the Garrett Sparks thing.
I didn't want to lead into that just yet.
Oh,
I wanted to finish up.
I
want to finish up the Jets first.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wrap up.
This is what happens
scores.
when you don't have a script in front of you.
You just flow. You just do it instead of... I'm Old Man Joe over here.
Yeah.
Oh, Old Man Rickety Joe on the corner there. Hey, I'll get you.
What?
You don't have like an old man Scatman voice where you're just like,
no.
Down by the bayou, I'm going to get nice right now.
No.
Seriously? I love it.
Version of me is not some crazy white person from Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, well, that's mine.
Yeah.
I want to start hitting on ladies like that. Hey, come on, let's do a lemon.
That would mean you have to talk to a girl first.
True, good point. Greg. I saw lots of pretty ladies all over this week. Lots of pretty ladies.
I saw lots of women at the hockey rink this week, but they all had boyfriends.
Hockey moms are impressive.
No, it was all girls with their boyfriends.
Oh. Well.
Some hockey moms are very impressive, you're right.
Oh, sweet mama. Nope. I didn't.
Wow.
Yep, let's keep on. Do you want me to say the scores of the other games?
Yeah, say the scores of the other
Perfect. The Jets also played Caps. They lost 5-3. They played the Wild. They won 3-1. 3 p.m. start. How come we don't get Thanksgiving? How come Thanksgiving is a big deal in Canada? Rogers, I blame you, first off. Give us afternoon games. I want to go to a Jets afternoon game at like 1 in the afternoon.
Because who does it market to? It only
Canada.
Only
Canadian teams. I don't care.
I know.
We could do this
That's
game.
the same way I feel. You could have your first game could be like... The other thing, too, it's early in the season, right?
Yeah.
And by doing Thanksgiving, well, what do? Do you want to do Monday? You'd have to do Thanksgiving, or do Good Friday. But then that takes away from your Saturday night as well, right? Because then you're putting most of your Canadian teams in back-to-back situations for national television.
That's exactly why they don't do it. There's only 6. You could only have 3 games. And then who's playing the back-to-back?
You could do 4 games. What you could do is you could do like Winnipeg plays Chicago Friday and then they have a Sunday game, right? You could do Calgary plays LA, Vancouver plays whatever, and then you could have still your Saturday night games with the Eastern teams and then have Edmonton play. You could also have an Ottawa game. Like, you don't necessarily need to have Canadian teams playing each other. You could just have
You're right. There's always Hockey Day US as well. The US is so good. They're the best hype man. Is the US?
There's so much. You can just tell the NHL schedule is when they have games or days like what they had for Thanksgiving Friday. That is made to promote hockey in the States, and it does a damn good job because who do they have to compete with on a Friday morning? No one. They
the
don't
local
even,
high school team.
They don't even try to go Thursday because they know what Thursday is in the US.
Thursday night football.
What they're trying to get is they're trying to get all the crowds who just fought for free DVD players with their 52-inch TVs that they got for 90% off at Black Friday. Go back and be like, I'm going to watch some people punch each other while they're on skates and sit back in the recliners and do that.
True.
That's what they're going on. They're going on the Black Friday people, which is fine by me. But no, I honestly love the scheduling for Thanksgiving Friday games. I think the NHL has done such a good job with integrating the U.S. Like, when you really think about it, the NHL is the only major for sports that has a huge Canadian and American following and fan base to cater to, right? With Canada, it's synonymous with Canada. Hockey's synonymous with us, right? Like,
you don't have to work for advertising in Canada.
No,
it's done for you.
And also, when you think about it, growing up, we know Saturday night is hockey night in Canada. And the fact that they've built something so good in the U.S. with Wednesday night rivalry night, because they know nothing else is on Wednesday, and they've actually done something that's now integrated into the U.S. market for hockey is just fantastic.
Yeah, and even just us synonymous Saturday nights with America, they know Sundays football, Monday night football, now Thursday night football as well. So you have to work. You obviously have to work.
Well, the thing with the NHL and what Rogers
Saturday's
is
game day as well, college.
for college, but for Rogers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make more days like football does, right? NFL's been just growing crazy. Back in the day, it was Sunday and Sunday, Monday, and that was all you had. Now you have Sunday, Monday. Well, now in December's you have Saturdays and you have Thursdays. So there's 4 days for NFL. There's college on Saturdays. So the NHL in Canada is trying to spread its wings like that. That's why you have Scotiabank Hockey on Sunday. That's why you have Wednesday Night Rivalry with Canadian teams. And then you have Saturday night as well.
And then Sunday night hometown hockey.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's Scotiabank Hockey was hometown hockey.
Got it. Right on.
Which has just been tremendous.
However, Greg lost his train of thought.
No, sorry, there's a serious text message I have to deal with.
Okay.
Just continue.
Do you want me to fill in?
Yes, please.
Okay, I don't know. Well, in the meantime, the Jets on Saturday evening got to take on the Colorado Avalanche. They lost 5-3.
Didn't they play Washington? I thought you said Washington somewhere.
It went Caps, Wild, Avs, Leafs.
Oh, okay.
I don't read schedules properly. What are your thoughts on those new Avs alternate jerseys?
Love them.
They were sweet.
I didn't like them at first, now I love them.
When are the Jets getting theirs?
Never. We're never getting their jerseys.
The CFL is going to step in and stop the Winter Heritage Classic again. Thanks, Wade Miller. You know who you are. I'm not elaborating on who he is.
The Colorado Rockies, those jerseys are just so nice.
Do you think the Jets might have a spin on the old one?
I think you have to.
Now that Colorado's like, your move, Winnipeg, it's like, damn it.
It would also be nice for them to go, like, different.
Actually, the Manitoba Moose have a polar bear jersey night coming up. I'd be hard-pressed to think that, I bet you the jerseys they wear were one of the concept jerseys, because there was rumors that they wanted to be the Manitoba Polars or the Winnipeg Polars or something. I bet you it's going to be one of their concept jerseys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%.
Well, since we're on the Moose took on the Lake Erie Monsters. They lost 4-2, and then they lost again 4-1. But that one was Nick Patan's first goal. So again, with the Jets prospect and pool system, I'm wondering, when is it going to turn around? Like when are these players going to start stepping up and winning? They're supposed to be the best prospect pool in the NHL, voted by Craig Button, like one of the junior guys in general.
Like I said, you can put all stars together. You can put some of the best together, and they just sometimes don't mesh.
Yeah, I guess. Any update on Travis Hamonic?
No, nothing. Not that I know.
I was
Have
listening
you heard
to
anything?
No, but I was listening to 1290 today, and I believe one of the gentlemen, I'm not sure there was many guys I listened to today. They were saying, why you got to question why it's so sudden and quick for Travis Hamonic, not just to obviously to come home, but to want to, like, why now? Why suddenly now with the Islanders and not like last year when he was asked, why not this, why not that? And then obviously that made front page news yesterday. Dustin Byfuglien's name was brought up in the trade rumor. And then they're like, oh, well, is Dustin Byfuglien on the block then? Not necessarily. They're just, you send out feelers, because obviously trades work like this. Hey, it's Berkey. Okay, so I hear you're trading Dustin Byfuglien. Now, I've got a good thing in Calgary here. I got this young guy, Brandon Bollig. He's pretty good. He's a real up-and-comer. I'll give you Brandon Bollig. You give me Dustin Byfuglien in the first round. What do you mean? And your first? But I mean, Brandon Bollig. He's a pretty good guy. That's not how trades work. But I imagine in my head,
I feel they're like, okay. For instance, we'll talk the Tyler Myers Evander Kane deal last year. It was maybe one of those things where, okay,
you keep naming names.
Exactly. Well, how about this? What if we take Drew Stafford off your hands instead of Cody Hodgson? Or, maybe not that.
No,
or
of
maybe
course.
they're like, okay, maybe we throw in Cody Hodgson. Well, he doesn't like it in Winnipeg. Maybe give us that Joel Armia kid instead.
Boom.
That
That's
kind of
exactly
stuff.
how trades happen.
That,
I know
I feel like it's just back and forth. If you've ever seen Moneyball, that's exactly how it is.
It's my favorite movie. I got it right. One of my favorite movies.
And it's just like, well, can you do it? Let me get back to me. And then they always find a way, if they really want to get the trade done, to get it done.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, well, this guy's offering this. And he'll call the other guy and be
Yeah.
like, you know what? It's dead. It's a deadline.
Yeah.
It's a deadline. It's going nowhere. And they'd be like, yeah, you can call him. Go ahead. And then he calls him. And then he calls him back right away.
Yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
all right, what do you want? And he's like, done. And then it's like Jonah Hill where he's like, make it the fist. And he's like, yes!
Yeah.
Gives a fist pump.
It's, trades are a very interesting thing. And I think Travis Hamonic and this whole ordeal with him won't get resolved either till the offseason or...
I'm saying draft.
Yeah, like, doing a trade deadline would be awesome. But at the same time, I think it's draft. I think it's one of those deals that you have to work through for a long time.
Well, didn't the Tyler Myers deal, like, weren't they talking to him, like, dating back to, like, last summer? Or, like,
Yeah.
but, like, they were talking about that for a while, and then it finally just hit fever pitch in Winnipeg where they're like, hey, let's pull it. We got to do this now.
Well, that whole tracksuit incident, we don't really know, and I don't think we'll ever know.
I think that was the last podcast we did here.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
tracksuit. Isn't that
Jeez.
crazy? Because I remember one of the other ones before that was when you and I went off the deep end about our drafting. Because someone decided to put a goalie as a start line center. Greg, why would you do that?
For those that have been following us for that long, you know that cameras...
It's an all-star game. I do what the hell I want.
We got to touch on the All-Star game after this.
We do.
But yeah, no, trades are very interesting how they work.
Yes.
And that's how I want to end on that.
All right, let's roll into what you got next.
Garrett Sparks. So Garrett Sparks, first ever Leaf goalie to get a shutout on his NHL debut. So congrats. Maybe some of the nicest goalie equipment ever.
Oh, the best in the NHL.
Oh, so
Goalies,
nice.
stop being so normal. I have a friend who is a goalie, and he's a Canucks fan, but he always rags on me for like being a Flyers fan, obviously, but also on the goalies for the Flyers because he's like, dude, bright orange, you could do so much with that.
I know.
And they choose to just use white with trim orange. Trim. He's like, trim. Bright ass orange. That's awesome. You can do so much with that.
One of the things I always did in NHL, well, forever, whenever I created a goalie, bright orange equipment.
Really?
On the Leafs even. Just bright orange. I don't
Bam.
give a shit.
What, bam. Yeah.
It looks cool.
It does. But Garrett Sparks, best goalie equipment in the league.
Yeah.
I would say him and I think Eddie Lack, who's got the Hurricane. Like who's that logo? Brian's. There's a
Is it Brian's?
I don't know. There's a goalie equipment manufacturer.
Vaughn?
Vaughn. No, I don't know. Maybe there's a company out there that does like crazy nice work with their goalie equipment, and where it's
Well,
like
it
the
was
logo,
like-
it's split and all
It
that.
was like
Chris
Chris
Mason.
Mason's equipment.
Yeah, him. That's the same company I'm talking
okay.
about. Either way, yes, Garrett Sparks is top dog in equipment now, in
Yeah.
my mind. However, what about this Garrett Sparks gentleman?
He's an interesting cat because he was drafted by the Leafs, played a lot of games in the ECHL. He was there last year. A lot of people weren't sure what he was going to do. Played in the ECHL, posted a very good save percentage there. A lot of people thought he was going to play in the AHL last year, but played in the ECHL and then moved up to the AHL this year. Has done well. Then Antoine Bibeau got recalled to the Leafs when Bernier went down with injury, and that's when James Reimer started playing out of his mind. Stole Bernier's spot. Bernier came back. Bibeau went down. Well, during that time, Garrett Sparks was putting the Leafs through the Marlies through an incredible run.
But the Marlies also have a team. They're unbelievable. They're so good. Sorry for cutting off.
No, that's totally fine. The Marlies are what the people think the Moose are going to be, and I think it's growing.
So.
I think it's growing pains with the Moose because the Marlies have never been like that amazing, but this year they're that good.
Because the Marlies are the Leafs of the future, and even William Nylander, like, he's made the
He's
headlines
too
a
good.
few times. So
He's
they're
too
like,
good to be there.
He's like, I want to be in the NHL, and then the Leafs are like, no, you're not ready. Because the Leafs don't want. It's not that he's not ready. I don't think they want to bring him up just this season. Because I'm pretty sure he's on the team next year. He's on the team now. Like, he's good enough for sure.
Oh, for sure.
They just don't want him to, like, he's got that swagger. They want him to be in check a little bit, but they don't want him to come in and then lose all of it. Because I'm not trying to be
That
mean about
team's
the
not that
Leafs,
great.
but they're not that great. So do you want... I'd rather have him on a team where he's a leader who's putting up points every night, like 20 minutes a night, as opposed to like 15 minutes a night and you're getting your ass kicked like 5-1, or you're losing 5-1. That's not fun for anybody.
No, exactly.
So So Garrett Sparks played for the AHL, stole Bebo's job, basically.
And then when Reimer went down, they're like, well, then we have to bring this guy up. So they bring up Sparks. And Bernier had a stinker on Saturday. I feel bad for Bernier because I really thought when they got him, I was team James Reimer 100%. Like, I love James Reimer. I think he's a tremendous goalie. Always have and always will think that he's a good goalie. But when they got Bernier, I thought it was a mistake. And golly gee, I want him to still do well because I'm still a Leaf fan. And he just has never been that great. And this season, it's just been even worse. So they've sent him to a conditioning stint now. But before that, they decided, well, we've got nothing to lose. We lose this game, oh well, it's just another loss. Garrett Sparks will go in. But he came in, played well. Sure, he didn't face a ton of shots, but by golly, started again tonight. Earned himself another start over James Reimer, who's now healthy. So, and Bernier got sent down. So it'll be interesting for Garrett Sparks. And it's funny, the guy named Justin Fisher on Twitter, I think his @ handle is the Justin Fisher. He saw him play in the ECHL, and he looked at him and he said, yep, that's an NHL goalie.
He was in the ECHL because they wanted him to play.
Yeah.
Because in the AHL, he wasn't going to get a lot of playing time with Bebo there.
Well, it was Bebo, and then they also had...
McIntyre?
That was a couple years ago. They had another goalie there last year. I'm just trying to think of who it was.
Either way, here's a fun fact about Garrett Sparks. They're not really about Garrett Sparks, but I was on Twitter the other night when he won his game 3-0.
Oh, Chris Gibson.
Chris Gibson, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
But they were saying, well, hey, no one should be surprised that that Garrett Sparks won 3-0. He's used to playing against AHL squads because they played Edmonton.
Yeah. Well, true. And yes, Winnipeg's significantly better than Edmonton. You can see from the standings. But yeah, good for Sparks doing that. It's crazy to have a first on such a historic team.
Yeah. How old are they of a team? They're old.
They're almost 100 years.
Oh my God.
I think they're 100 years in 2017.
How many cups?
13.
That's a pretty good average. Considering there's like 30 odd teams.
13% of the Stanley Cups. Well, 13% of their history, they've won cups. Think about this. Montreal was 100 years old, and they had 24 cups. So 24 of their 100 years, they had won cups.
Remember the hype in their 100th season? Yeah. Where it was ridiculous. They're like, we're going to have 8 jerseys, and one of them's like, barber pole. And everyone's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Where the gloves were this. The gloves were just
the ugliest
copper,
color.
Piss color. Oh, it was awful. But anyways, in that year, they made the playoffs, and everyone's like,
Did they win? How funny would it be if the Leafs actually got to the Cup final in their 100th season and won?
I would cheer for the Leafs when they made the play. The only time I'm actively cheering against the Leafs is if they're playing against the Flyers. Other than that, I'm cheering for the Leafs.
All the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely. You know what's a really sad fact that I came to realize listening to another podcast? The Rough Riders are, I think, 100 years or getting close to their 100th year. They've only won 4
Grey Cups. And
there's only... The max amount of teams that's been in that league is 12. Per capita, or per average, you should win once every 8 years.
Yeah.
I won 4 times. Twice in my lifetime, which means it's been a long-ass 100 years for a lot of people.
But let's go back to the Monday night game. Garrett Sparks playing against Edmonton. And I want to talk about Edmonton because Leon Draisaitl last year was sent down midseason after the World Juniors.
Because Edmonton were dicks and robbed Germany of the best player. And Germany would have been a great team to watch play. They were fun, but they would have been a little more competitive with Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And they're just no, we're not going to give him a leadership time or anything or, the pride of playing for his country. We're just going to sit him.
Yeah.
Because we're dicks. I'm sure they didn't say that, but...
Now he's back with the team. He went on an incredible surge, something like 12 points in 6 games.
He was on the same pace. When Connor McDavid went down, he became Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
He is still Connor McDavid right now.
So, what is the real issue in Edmonton?
Okay, when you get a number 1 pick, normally, when you get a number 1 overall pick, you think, that's our guy. Correct?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but you think, that's our guy.
Mm-hmm.
With Edmonton, they've had how many number 1 picks?
Hall, Nuge, Yakupov, and Connor McDavid. So 4. And
You
on
have
the
4,
verge of
you're
getting 5.
on the verge of getting there. If it was today and it was old school, they'd get 5. It's management. I don't know what else. Like, I don't know what you. But is it management? Because they fixed it. They changed it, or so we thought they fixed it.
But the thing is it still doesn't. I think part of it's systematic. I think a lot of their issues come from a lot of coaches changing. They've never let a coach. The thing is, okay, so you have Toronto. You have a situation like Toronto where this year they said, we're blowing it all up. Let's get a coach like Mike Babcock, sign him for 8 years. So we know the first 4 years are a write-off, right? Let nothing he does probably for 5 of those years, they're going to say, that's fine, the team wasn't good enough. So in Edmonton, they just keep firing coach, rehiring coach, firing coach, rehiring coach. And it's just been a carousel. Like, Taylor Hall has probably seen 4 or 5 different coaches in his career.
And he's only been in the league for 6 years?
Maybe. And that's not a way you build a team. That's not a way you build anything. Because it's every year you're relearning different things.
Yep.
You're learning, how are we going to attack the zone? How are we going to manage our breakout? How is our penalty kill, power play? All that
And
stuff
on top
is
of
different.
that, new teammates every year too. Like
Exactly.
a different group of guys
They've never let it grow. And to add on what you said, part of it's management. A lot of it has to do with management in coaches. But the fact is they are good at picking the first round. After that, they suck.
They're awful after that.
Look at their first round picks. Darnell Nurse, Leon Draisaitl, Jordan Eberle. Those are the ones that aren't number ones.
Yeah, it's hard to mess up picks in the first round.
It is. But at the same time, then you look at their second, their third, their fourth. They've never panned out. Linus Omarks, the Oliver Ekman-Larssons. Or not Oliver Ekman-Larssons, the...
Magnus Pierre-Svensson?
Yes.
I think he was even a first. He might have been
a first. But these guys, they've never turned into anything. And it's great to have all-star Taylor Hall, all-star Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, great player Nail Yakupov, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. You've got 5 excellent players there. And even Jordan Eberle, pardon me. That's your top 6, is what you've drafted. Your bottom 6 is nothing, because they haven't been able to surround those guys. And their defense is Justin Schultz, Darnell Nurse.
Justin Schultz on an arbitration deal because they didn't even probably want to sign him that bad.
Yeah, and then they also have Andre Sekera.
True. And then they just acquired Eric Greiba and Griffin Reinhart, which is okay for a third pairing.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
They have a lot of issues there that I don't know what the answer is. I think it's time to say we trade everyone and build around Connor.
The Edmonton Emporium.
Because if you think about it, okay, remember how bad Pittsburgh was when we were growing up?
Yep.
In the early 2000s?
Terrible.
And you could say, well, they got Crosby, it all turned around. It wasn't just Crosby. They had Malkin, they had Fleury, they had Letang.
Jordan Stahl.
And Jordan Stahl. Look at the history of who they were drafting. They drafted a goalie to start in net, they drafted an all-star defenseman, and they drafted 2 all-star centers with a third really good center. And then they just surrounded the players around them.
And they even dating back to that, I believe.
And that was in 3 years they fixed it. 4 years. 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006.
And they pulled the trigger on a deal to get in surrounding characters. How'd they get Chris Kunitz?
Traded.
Ryan Whitney. They bit the bullet and traded one of their guys. They just said, you know what?
They liked him too.
He might be good. He is a good player. We got to bite the. We have to do it. And bringing in Chris Kunitz, boom, you had your guy. You had Crosby's wingmate.
And then they were able to get a defenseman that played really well in Sergei Gonchar.
Yep.
They got Brooks Orpik, and they just seemed to really be able to manage to build a team there. You look at a team like New York, the Islanders. They got John Tavares, and all of a sudden, everything seemed to turn. Because they weren't afraid to make deals. They were bold. They went out, they got Nikolai Kulemin and Mikhail Grabowski. They've done so much to improve their teams.
That 1 week last year with Boychuk and Leddy. Whoa! Yeah. That came out of left field. Like, no one even knew that those guys were available. Well, probably many people, but like regular people were like, what? And then within like 3 days, those deals happened. It's like, boom, you got your top pairing. You
look at Calgary. They go out and they get aggressive. They get Dougie Hamilton. And it's almost like Edmonton cannot let go of saying, we have to keep these guys. No, you take Connor. They have to find a way. You got to do a center.
You keep Connor and you keep like Taylor Hall because he's a natural winner.
Yeah, so you take Hall, Connor, You keep Nurse. You find yourself a goalie. You draft a goalie. You do whatever you need to do.
Because Cam Talbot's not working out.
No.
Not at all.
And you build around that. Like, they have to get the supporting cast. But they're not making Edmonton an attractive place to play. They're not.
It's attractive in the mindset of, oh, look, we have young guys. That's it.
Yeah.
You need some more than just that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? The thing is they could have had a really good thing with having McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Draisaitl as their top three. But the truth is they need to trade some of these guys away to get players to play around them.
And you know what? That's it. Like, I would trade. I probably, you know what? If I could I'd keep Draisaitl and McDavid and blow up everything else.
Even Hall.
I can say, dude, think about how much you get for
Exactly.
Taylor Hall. What could you get for Taylor Hall?
A lot.
And you know what? Sure, it might suck playing against him, but you're going to have the team. You're not just going to have your individual players covering him. And fine, put Draisaitl on him. He's good enough to cover him. I'm sure you can teach him.
Exactly. He's a big body.
We watched like the Memorial Cup and like that Kelowna's run?
Yeah.
He was playing against, he was literally like a man against boys, and he was, I think his his win percentage in the run, I'm definitely wrong on this percentage, but I believe it was upwards of 60% face-off win percentage.
For sure.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, if you have above 50, they're like, wow, he's really good. 60! Oh my God! I wish I had 10% face-off percentage win.
Like, I'm just going to go to the overall standings right now and look at...
Take a peek.
Edmonton only has 18 points.
18.
In 25 games.
I believe Dallas has 40 as of right now, if I'm mistaken. 38 could be.
Montreal has 41, and they're leading the NHL.
Okay.
So they...
I just got 41. Edmonton might finish with 41. The way they're playing. They're going to need a lot of overtime losses to get there, because they're not getting wins, apparently.
No.
They got to pull... They got to... Chiarelli's
They are already 9 points out of a playoff spot.
Edmonton. And we passed a quarter season a week ago.
Yeah.
And they're how many?
9 points.
Yeah, they're not making playoffs.
They're not making... I think playoffs are at the window. I don't think the playoffs are even on the board.
I don't think it was. I thought it was on the board with McDavid, but does McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse. Get the rest of your team. Fix it.
Fuck it.
Like, you have Yakupov. You have Eberle. You have... see, that's... Nuge. Taylor Hall.
Yep.
Nuge and Taylor Hall can get you some stuff.
But here's the other thing. Why don't you trade Leon Draisaitl and then you can go Matthews and McDavid?
Because you could still do it. I mean, at this point, if you're in the bottom five, you have a hell of a good chance of making it.
Or you can even get Kachuk or whoever else is available, right? Like, the thing for Edmonton that is just so alarming is the fact that they think everything they do is going to fix it this year, and they want an immediate fix, and they're not planning the long term. What Toronto did, and is they said, we're going to bite the bullet, we're going to do 5-year rebuild, 6-year, 7-year, however long it fucking takes, we're doing it right.
Yeah, we got to set the foundation, and Edmonton keeps just kind of like, they're doing the top level of the house, they're thinking about the kitchen from time to time, and then they restart the top level again.
Yeah,
it's like, no, you got to go all the way to the basement. We got to tear this hoe down. It's coming down. This house coming down.
And it starts with a foundation. And that foundation can be Connor McDavid, Darnell Nurse, and Cam Talbot. Like, Talbot could be good. We don't really know.
He was just kind of thrown into the fire and being like, hey, let's see what you can do. Please, let's see what you can do.
It's the same thing with Ben Scrivens. No one really knows how good Ben Scrivens is. Like, I still think he's a much better goalie than an AHL goalie.
Than an AHL bench goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
I was kind of pissed he wasn't playing
for the Condors.
Yes, I wanted to see him play. I like him.
No, so do I.
You know what they should do? They should get rid of Bernier. Keep Sparks. Put him to the A just for a bit. Bring Scrivens back. Reimer, Scrivens, Sparks. How can you hate any of those guys? They're the best guys for interviews. Garrett Sparks was so emotional that he won. He just realized, like, dream come true. I did it.
He did something that no one else has ever done in 100 years for a team.
And you could hear it. The fans, even the corporate guys in suits, were cheering. That's when you know you've done a good job.
That's when the ACC is... That's the thing about Leaf fans, is whenever there's a triumph, they are there to cheer loud.
Yes.
Like, I remember this, and I'll always remember this. Tim Brent was on a 5-on-3, and I think he blocked 3 Eric Stahl shots in a row.
I remember this.
from like point blank, and one of them hit him in the jock. And you know what? Yeah, that provides some protection. But what it's an Eric Stahl slap shot, and Eric Stahl's in his prime, and that's going right to the nuts. That ain't protecting
Okay,
a
the
little
jock
bit of
covers
aftershock.
like right over your private parts, but it hurts when you get hit in the jock. It hurts everywhere else. Everywhere else, it hurts.
And you're just... And they showed him on the Jumbotron, and they gave him a standing ovation. Like, he couldn't literally get up and get out of the zone, so he had to, like, wave his stick to knock the puck out of the zone.
Yeah, and
On a
then he just
5-on-4.
kind of got pushed to the bench and like crawled there.
Exactly. Just moments like those that make you smile. But, yeah.
Maybe Edmonton's taking notes on Toronto because they should. Oh, God.
Well, they
I'm
did,
so
they did
jealous
the
of
right
Edmonton.
they did the right thing by getting rid of the old boys club.
True, they did.
And the thing is we've seen it time and time again. And I want to touch on this. I want to segue into something else in a second, but that's completely related to this. You look at what Toronto did. Is they cleaned house, got a bunch of new guys. Edmonton cleaned house, got rid of all the old players. Look how well they're doing. Dallas did a similar thing a few years ago. Joe Nieuwendyk was the GM of that team. Made the James Neal trade for Alec Gulgowski, which still goes down as one of the weirdest trades I've ever seen. Really didn't do a lot for that team. I think he drafted Jamie Benn, but I think that's the only thing that was memorable of his career. They got rid of
Jamie
him.
Benn wasn't even like that
No,
highly rated.
No.
He blossomed later.
Exactly.
Yep.
They got rid of him. They weren't afraid to let the guy, I believe that was the captain of their team when they won the cup, go. They were like, see ya, I don't think you're cut out for this.
They just they severed the ties. That's what you have to do.
And Edmonton did that, and I think another team that has to do that, Colorado. Joe Sakic and Patrick Waugh, as much as I love them, as much as they gave me a lot of memories in the early 2000s, they've got to go.
You know what? Actually, speaking on that, we did have a comment 2 weeks ago, and I'm sorry we didn't get to it, and I took a screenshot of it by Swift Base Beats. Matt Duchene has to stay with the Avalanche. It doesn't seem right. Also, having McKinnon and Duchene interchangeable between line 1 and 2 as centers is filthy. And also, it can be Landy, Duchene, McKinnon as a first line when McKinnon gets when Ginla gets too old. So Thank you for the comment.
Thanks. Sorry we didn't get to it sooner.
No, but it's just, you know what? In terms of Edmonton, they pulled the plug with the old boys club up top. I think we've agreed. They got to pick 3. Pick 3 of your 6 future guys.
Pick a coach. I think
They have the
McCullen's
coach.
the guy.
Yeah, they have the GM.
They have the GM.
It's the players now. You pick 3. Oh no, you know Nurse, McDavid. You pick one other one. The rest go. You have to. Do you want change? Like this is 5 years of Edmonton at the bottom. Come on. And the last time they made the playoffs,
2006.
they were watching someone lift a cup. That's a long ass time.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Yes, it is. Last time they were literally in playoffs, they were watching the other team lift the
It'll
cup.
be 10 years ago.
10 years ago, 10 years.
2005, 2006. Holy crap.
Yeah, they got rid of
Get
Lowe.
your shit together.
Lowe's got to go. That happened. Well, now you make player decisions.
Yeah, you can't just be in limbo.
You can't keep stockpiling. And Colorado, they've been making right-ish decisions. They can pick a few guys too, but now it's the old boys club there, which is unfortunate because I don't know what Raw's contract is at, and I don't know what Sakic's is at. But
And can that team have that sort of loss to them?
of losing like the old boys club.
No, I mean like financially, can they afford to pay another GM and another coach at the same time?
Oh, that's a great point. I have no idea. How many guys are you allowed on the books? Because I'm just thinking.
No, it's not. You're allowed unlimited guys on the books.
Oh, but can you?
Can you afford it? Because
Especially
not
with
everybody
McKinnon.
is a Toronto Maple Leaf.
True. Not everyone's like a Boston Red Sox where you just throw money at people.
Well, you can throw money at anyone, and
Yeah.
who the fuck cares?
Because you'll pay
Because
that.
money.
You'll pay it. You make
Because
it.
reasons.
Yes. Let's lead into what you were going to talk about.
No, that's what I wanted to. I wanted to talk about Colorado.
Perfect.
That's what I wanted
Oh,
to lead
right
into.
on. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
it works better when you just have a seamless transition. Like
oh,
that.
I was wondering because he teased it, and in my mind, I'm like, what's he leading into? But you did so well.
Yeah, I'm learning. This is development.
Character development. We're evolving.
We're growing.
We are together.
Something that the original Star Wars trilogy had that the prequels did not have. Character development, change.
The original
Growth.
Star Wars. You mean? Oh, you mean the sequels to the prequels?
No, I mean the original trilogy.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
No.
Oh,
I
right,
hate you.
4, 5, 6. Because Lucas, the guy, doesn't know how to count numbers. That guy. As this podcast is being supported by two of the greatest franchises ever, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
If a gun to my head and I had to destroy one universe, guess which one I'm destroying? Star Wars, because Lord of the Rings is better. Yet irrelevant. That's a Jace. Colorado. If you're changing Old Boys Club and you're going to make a big change with players, who are you shipping out the door? And why didn't Edmonton draft Landeskog?
That one's still
Like,
made.
stop. What the piss? There's
He would have been so good on that team.
They could have had a. They don't know. Best
They could
player.
have
You've
had
said it thousands of times. Best player available isn't always the best option. Go with what. Sometimes go with what you need. Bite the bullet. Arizona, come on. Noah Hannafin. Why? Why didn't you?
Yeah, that made no sense.
It's
Here's the other thing,
unfair to
too.
make that comparison now because Strome is still in junior. I'll give it a couple.
However,
days.
and I've said this on podcasts, I know I've said it to you at least if I haven't said it here. Edmonton had the option to draft both Tyler Seguin and Gabriel Landeskog. And they chose not to.
Okay.
They could have had Seguin, Landeskog as their center, right, left,
Wait.
instead of having Nugent Hopkins and Hall.
Okay, yes. I'm going to defend the Taylor Hall pick because
Okay.
Tyler Seguin, Taylor Hall was coming off. He was 3 years in junior.
Yeah.
The previous 2 years, or the 2 years leading into the draft, MVP of the OHL playoffs, won the OHL and the Memorial Cup, and MVP back-to-back both years.
Seguin played on the Plymouth Whalers.
He was the only guy on the Plymouth Whalers.
He didn't get to play with
Now,
guys like Zach Cassian.
Of course.
And Ryan Ellis.
The power-
and Cam Fowler. They
Yeah.
had and Cam Fowler.
Yeah.
That's how good that Windsor Spitfire
Actually,
team
do you
was.
know who else played for that team? I could be mistaken. Oh no, I am mistaken. I was gonna say, there's a certain defenseman who played on the Windsor Spitfire. Oh, Ryan Ellis as well.
Yeah, I said Ryan Ellis.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And Cam Fowler.
I thought Kadri.
That was their
I thought
top-
Kadri played for them for some reason, but I
He
don't
was a
think
Londonite.
his whole career. Eh? There's another player in there that was just unbelievable that like goes by the wayside. Doesn't matter.
I'm looking at that.
You're gonna
but
look it up.
Still,
Okay.
continue with what you're saying.
No, I'm just defending the Taylor Hall pick. But see, here's the thing. What they did with Taylor Hall is why I question why they didn't draft Tyler Seguin.
Oh, okay.
In terms of the moment they drafted Taylor Hall, they said, like within like a month of drafting him, they said, oh, we're converting him to center. Why wouldn't you have drafted the center that was directly available right after him? That doesn't make much sense now, does it?
Yeah, no, that makes zero sense.
Then you'd have the starting centerman, Gabriel Landeskog, and even, who was the year? Oh, Ryan Murray. Ryan Murray's not that great now.
That's the person we forgot.
Go.
Jack Campbell was their goaltender.
Oh, right. Oh, there was some crazy stuff that happened with Jack Campbell. Because he got traded at the end of his career to the Sioux Greyhounds. And there's actually big rumors going around that Jack Campbell got paid under the table $600,000 a year that he played for Windsor Spitfires.
Really?
Can't confirm or deny, but I got it from quite an OHL fan who's in on the know and he's within the community. When I was on tour, I met this gentleman, and he writes hockey stuff. Like, he covers hockey. So I remember talking to him saying, like, oh, yeah, I really like junior hockey, not as crazy as you guys, because at the time I was in a small town. But he said, wow, really? He's like, do you remember those powerhouse? I was like, yeah, the teams that got me into it, obviously the Wheaties too.
Oh.
Go
I'll
ahead.
continue.
No, and he brought up the Jack Campbell. I was like, I knew there was under-the-table dealings. They're everywhere. Go ahead.
He wasn't actually on that team, but there was one other NHLer,
Name that guy.
Adam Henrik.
Right, Adam Henrik was your second-line center on that team. Second-line center. There's another guy on there.
Richard Ponick.
Wow. Can you name the whole team? There's a guy, I know he's
Okay. Taylor Hall, Justin Shug, Adam Henrik.
Justin Shug's the guy I was thinking of.
Okay.
Adam Henrik. Name this a decor then.
It doesn't say on Hockey D. Oh, I could probably just...
Justin Shug, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
44, I think.
Ryan Ellis, Cam Fowler, Mark Kundary,
Mukundari.
Harry Young. They had Craig doing Innick.
Okay.
Paul Bezzo.
That was the first year.
Adam Wallace, yeah. No, second year.
Okay.
Mark Canton. They had
Either
a bunch
way,
of defensemen.
these guys were like, this is
Dylan Sagan.
Any relation?
I'm assuming so.
Obviously, same last name. You have to.
Okay, continue what you were saying though. Sorry.
No, that's just Windsor Spitfires were the juggernauts of the OHL. Taylor Hall was their leader and their best player on the best team in Canada in junior hockey for 2 years. I'm not going to knock him for that pick. I will knock him for taking Nuge over Landeskog because Landeskog, everyone said he was already prepared to come in. Nuge played, could have used another year in junior, did get another crack at the World Juniors thanks to the lockout.
Yeah.
However, why go for the one of the best players available when you could start building a line and a team? Yeah. Look at Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves. They went, was it Kane, then Taves, winger, center. You start spreading your wings a little bit. Don't just go center, best player. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. I understand it's stockpile. Okay, it makes sense if you're going to make a move, right? If you're going to just stockpile a bunch of centers, well, then you got to trade one of them eventually. But we got to move off this topic and move into the All-Star voting. John Scott leading the All-Star vote at the moment.
Really? He's now 1 in the NHL?
I'm
Last
pretty
time I
sure.
checked, he was 7th, but he was 1 in Pacific.
Okay, maybe he's still 1 in Pacific.
I don't give a shit. He better win. I'm voting for him. Are you voting?
Sure, I'll vote for John Scott.
Are you gonna?
This is what's wrong with player voting. You shouldn't vote. It shouldn't be a vote.
John Scott is making it.
Did we not learn from what happened last year with Zemgus Girgensons?
You mean Latvia? What are you pooping on Latvia and their dreams? And by the way, Zemgus Girgensons. You got a rap video named out. You don't want to see John Scott rap video?
I do.
Let's make it.
Do.
Let's make that John Scott rap video. I'm John Scott. I don't play a lot.
Wow.
But when I do, I use my fists. I've never had a cyst. Yes, nailed it.
Like
when
to
I
punch
get
people in the face, then hit them with a random shoelace.
I've once purchased bear mace. Nailed it.
We should be rap stars.
Why aren't we? Why aren't we a world star right now? We could be.
Because we actually know how to film
horizontally instead of vertically. Worth. So
what do you think of the All-Star voting format that you get to pick one player from each division?
I don't like it.
No?
No. I want, as we talked about last week and even last year, send the best players. I don't care if your team isn't good enough. I'm okay if the Flyers do not have a representative. I'm watching it either way. Why? I kind of find it entertaining. The All-Star skills. I usually watch the game, not all of it. I don't go on my way to watch a game. The 3-on-3 would be hilarious. Everyone should get behind voting the goons in to watch them on the ice for 3-on-3. So what I'm saying is, people of Winnipeg, vote for Dustin Byfuglien because he doesn't like 3-on-3.
No, he hates 3-on-3.
Because then we're going to have John Scott and Dustin Byfuglien literally hanging out on the boards, talking, while the other 2-on-2 guys play. It's going to be wicked.
Yeah, I don't like the format. Like, I think your best players in your league should represent who they are. Like, if you're doing an all-star game, it should be the best players in the league, period. It shouldn't be, hey, let's see what the fans are going to vote. And you cannot trust people with voting anymore.
You can. Like, isn't there, like, there's plenty of podcasts out there, but even on the media, there's, like, hashtags going, like, Unky Leo, ASG.
See, I'm okay with Leo Komarov.
Oh, me too. He'd be sweet. He'd be a awesome. Great all-star guy, too. Like, he'd ham it up. You want guys like that. Like, John Scott. Apparently, he's actually a pretty nice guy off the ice. On the ice.
Well, it's like George Peros. Really nice guy off the ice.
Oh, crazy smart, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Craig Adams. Really smart, too.
But it's like, what was that a couple years ago where Jays fans, or they like, but you stuff the ballot. Like, you can stuff the ballot and just sway the vote. And this is what's happening. And it's kind of, the NHL, I bet Gary Bettman's like, John Scott, oh my God, who's John Scott?
Oh, that guy is suspended a bunch of times?
The guy have to
What are you gonna do next? Try to vote Sean Avery in?
Oh, that's terrible.
But
who's the one guy you don't find who's the guy you want to see in that? Like, if they were like, hey, last minute podcast, Craig, Dan, Cam, You get one guy. You say who he is, automatically in the All-Star game. Like, no questions asked, in. And he's not even that team representative. He's just auto in. They add 41 players, and that we get the one.
Ooh, that's a lot of pressure. Who's your guy?
You know what? Are we allowed to go off the board and take guys not in the NHL?
That was where I was going.
Okay, where are you going? What are you thinking?
JC Lapine? No, I wasn't.
JC Lapine, you know what's hilarious? I was thinking Zach Delpy, because Dan hates him so much. Just because every time he plays, he terrorizes the Jets. But no, I wouldn't take Zach Delpy. Who would I take?
That is a good question. Who would you take if you had that one pick?
Just Otto. That's your pick. You get all the schlack, too, on Twitter and social media. But that's your guy.
Austin Matthews.
It's funny, I thought about him. I thought about bringing in Austin Matthews.
Why don't you? See how he does against the All-Stars. See if he could be himself an All-Star. They should have 6 teams. They should have an over 35. They should have like the teams. They should have an under 23 team and an over 35 team. So there's 6 teams.
Instead of just the
four divisions. Instead of just the 4 teams, have 6 teams. So you have to get Martin Brodeur out of retirement to play on the over 35 team.
Is there a 35 plus goalie?
I think
it could happen. Hold on. LA could call up their starting goalie in Manchester.
Who?
Or no, in Ontario Reign. Ray Emery. I don't think he's over 35 though.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Gotta be.
Who's a goalie?
Or you could get Johan Hedberg and play him.
Who's the goalie coach for the Leafs? Is it still St. Croix or no?
I don't know.
I'd love to see Rick St. Croix just strap him up. Like a guy like that. Or like a goalie coach or something. Just come in and play.
Isn't Roberto Luongo over 35?
No way, not yet.
Maybe you could like make an exception for the goalies, but the over 35 player team.
Hossa would be on there?
Marlowe, Thornton.
The whole San Jose Sharks roughly. Except the assistant captains.
You could get Dan Boyle on that team.
Is he still playing?
Doesn't he play for
I'm pretty sure he retired, didn't he?
I don't care. You can bring Nicholas Lidstrom in.
Over 35.
And then you have the over 35 team play the under 23 team.
What are you going to... tough lessons. Name it the tough lessons game or something.
Lots of fights. Jack Eichel versus John Scott.
Can
we bring in Mike Greer?
I'm trying to think of the worst case.
Ty Domi. Can you play? Can you play Max Domi? Can
Who's
we see
a
that?
player who... You know what? He's great. I'm bringing in Scotty Hartnell.
Fuck you.
One of the greatest memories ever is Suck It For Nuff.
Yeah,
that's
true.
so funny.
Yeah.
Like, woo! Suck It For Nuff. I'm a third Sedin sister. Like, he said that. Or he didn't say sister, but he's like, I'm the third Sedin. Suck It For Nuff. Like, he almost had a fight at an All-Star game. I mean, it happened before with one of the Gordie Howe, I think it was. He fought in an All-Star game. But, like, Hartnell's my vote. Because he's just he's hilarious. He's so funny. And remember when BlackBerry was actually, like, a thriving company? They still are. But he's like, hey, I'm Scotty Hartnell, who wrote the BlackBerry Playbook live on the ice. He's like skating around like, hey, Claude, look, hey, G, and like shoving a camera in his face.
Oh, who does that sound like?
Not this guy.
Yeah, who else shoves cameras in people's faces while they're driving?
Me, on my Snappy Chatty.
Yeah, exactly.
You, Snappy Chatty.
Anything else you want to touch on?
This podcast?
On this podcast.
Well, we're junior invitees.
Okay, let's do it.
Jets do not have a Canadian representative.
That's fine. Jack Roslovic, probably?
I believe he is a representative. And Kyle Connor.
Connor.
Will definitely be probably on Team USA. Team Canada, they have 2 Leafs are in draft picks. Travis McDermott.
Travis Dermott. Not McDermott.
McDermott.
No, it's Dermott.
Travis Dermott of Mick. Mitch Marner.
And potentially also have William Nylander.
Yes, let's talk about that before, and then we'll wrap it up.
Apparently, Wielander. That's his name.
Fine.
Wielander is going to be able to get released from the Marlies enough time to go play at the World Juniors. That's what James Myrtle put today, I believe.
He tears it up.
Me too.
Beautiful.
He is good.
I'll just touch on the Flyers then quick too. Travis Konechny, Travis Sanheim. Wait.
Another guy named Travis?
Travis Konechny. Is it Trevor? Travis Konechny.
Are you sure you know what you're talking
Travis Sanheim. And then Ivan Provorov will be Russia. I'm excited for the World Juniors. As we get closer, the team's going to get announced. The 2 goalies already announced it. It's Mason Here we go. Mackenzie Blackwood, Mason McDonald. And then the other guys off the top of my head, there's only 3 returning. Joe Hicketts, Lawson Krause, and Braden Point.
Question.
Go ahead.
When is Connor McDavid due back?
Not in time for World Juniors. We got a little excited.
I was thinking that if he was, let's say his rehab was ahead of schedule, why wouldn't you do that as a conditioning stint for him?
That was his conditioning stint last year. Do you remember that? Because he broke his hand in a fight.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, you can go to the World Juniors. Okay, you're going to do well in the World Juniors. Is Austin Matthews going to play for U.S.?
I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it. That's a terrifying thought, though. They're going to have a good team.
USA is going to win. Their team will be stacked.
Are they going to be that stacked?
Kachuk.
Jones. Other guys.
Roslovic.
Connor. I think Jacob Chychrun is also American.
Chychrun. There
And
you go.
he's Canadian. I don't know. Other notes to say.
I've stumped Cameron in World Junior facts.
Yeah. I'm drawing. I have not searched up on my junior
I don't know.
facts.
I don't know if Canada's going to win this year.
You know what? I'm okay if they don't win as long as there's a good tournament. There's some competition.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I do have a little nugget to pick. Whoever made the schedule. You know Canada versus US is what day, Greg? Every year.
New Year's Eve.
Nope. Boxing Day this year.
I'm okay with that.
No.
What's the New Year's Eve game?
I don't know. Against like Sweden, I think. Or
That's okay.
Swiss or not America.
Where is it this year?
It's in Suomi, Finland.
Oh, that's right.
What? What do you mean, oh, that's right?
I forgot that it was there.
And they are playing Sweden on New
Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, so that's okay. Willie.
Well, oh, I want to see what their schedule is.
Okay.
Tell us what their schedule is.
They play USA on the Boxing Day.
What time?
Canada, Winnipeg Central Standard Time, 1 p.m.
Damn it! Why couldn't it be those 4 a.m. games again?
I don't know. And then we play the 28th on Monday at 12:30 versus Denmark. God bless you,
How
Denmark.
much fun was Denmark to watch last year?
It was awesome. They played in the Junior A Challenge leading up to. How awesome was that? It was great. The Tuesday, the 29th, they play Switzerland at noon. And then they get a day off, and then they play Sweden. And then it's preliminaries and quarterfinals, semifinals.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and last congratulations goes out to Patrick Kane.
Yes.
For breaking the breaks record for American-born point streak. He broke with 19, but he's now at 20 games, and in those 20 games, he has 12 goals, 20 assists, and 32 points. Greg, a certain other player was tied at 18 with Eddie Olchuk. What player was that, American-born, who had that streak?
Mike Middown.
No, he's very near and dear to Leaf fans. Filthy Phil Kessel.
Oh, fuck yeah. I wasn't thinking him. I was thinking Old Leafs because, like, my mind goes away from anything that was pre.
Well, Phil Kessel wasn't
2005.
even any good for the Leafs.
No,
I'm
right?
glad
Yeah.
You know that. He was
no,
awful.
like the media has injected in my head now that Phil Kessel's an awful hockey player.
Terrible, and he can't even do good with Sidney Crosby.
No,
That's how awful.
Or
Phil-
Evgeny Malkin.
He's, you know what? Put him on a line with Sutter. Trade him to Vancouver. All right.
Who was the
ahead.
player they got for Sutter again?
Brandon Sutter?
Yeah. Who went the other way?
That's a damn good question.
It was an Anaheim guy. I'm just trying to think of his name.
Bolesky?
No. He's in Boston.
Who am I today? I'm trying. Pull him up. I want to know this before we got to roll out of here. We're not going to leave the people on the cliffhanger of this monster trade that just happened. There's one person like, who is it? Who is it? What's the deal?
Should we phone Kevin? He would know.
No, we will not phone him. He's at the Leafs game.
Is he?
Yeah.
Why is everyone at the Leafs game but me? And I'm a Leaf fan.
Obviously, you don't love the Leafs enough to know.
Clearly don't.
Give me that answer.
Apparently the Pittsburgh Penguins webpage is not working. There we go.
Bonino!
Bonino!
Yay!
Oh.
I did it! I was like 13. Bonino. All right, do you have any closing words, Greg? If not, you take us home.
Take you home?
Take me home.
We're in your house.
The people, we're about to caress you with our sweet sounds of going away. Here we go. Lay down a beat, send them out.
Dan will finish it up this week for us.
You're not...
Oh, sorry. Should I be doing something?
Yes, Dan's not here right now, Greg. You got to wrap it up. We're wrapping it up. We're going home now.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Yes. I would like to go to sleep at some point this evening.
It's only 10 o'clock.
Just past my bedtime. He's a sweet rap. Lay down.
What am I supposed to say? Thanks for listening. Check us out on YouTube, iTunes.
What would our iTunes and YouTube be?
At Last Man NPC.
Correct.
What about our Twitter? Is it at Last Man NPC as well?
It is indeed.
Can people also comment on our stuff on YouTube?
They may, just like
Or
Swift
tweet us.
Bass Beats. They may at Last Man NBC.
And we might mention them in the next video or the
we
next
could try if we
podcast.
don't neglect it. Yes.
Yeah. If we don't treat them like neglected children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nailed that sentence.
Reminds me of Sports Center one time when Jay and Dan were on and they were reading this highlight pack and they clearly lost their spot and they just start shooting the shit and they're like, yep, this was the worst red highlight pack ever. They go to commercial. It was just so funny. And
all right.
and he passes him the ball and that goes in. Oh,
Greg,
that was an inbound pass.
missed opportunity right there. And he shoots it, and boom goes the dynamite.
Boom goes that. Well, it wasn't me who did that. That was Jay and Dan. So they
It's
missed
true.
the opportunity.
No, you missed it because that's what we could have done here. If you're still listening,
Talk
tweet
about quacks.
tweet us a secret
About
word.
quacks.
Quacks?
Quacks.
Okay, if you're still here, tweet at Greg and I and Last Man NPC. How about them quacks?
Quacks.
All right, we'll talk to you later, guys. Have a good one.
Quacks.